I'm
Here
waiting
comes
for my
Bart.
clock to roll.
Oh.
Bart,
We are live.
copy. Okay, let's do this thing. Call the meeting to order. Planning Commission meeting Monday, March 3rd. Item 1 on our agenda is the last time that we met approving of the minutes.
Motion to approve?
Sam's got the minutes. Second.
Second.
Bart's got the second. All those in favor of the minutes say aye. Opposed, no. Done with the minutes. Public hearings. There are 2 of them this evening. First one up is a conditional use permit, multifamily structures, First Avenue, First Street Northwest, and we look to Harry Davis, our city.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My PowerPoint's loading up, but what we have in front of us tonight is a conditional use permit request from Scott Wapata on behalf of CAC, the Community Action Center. The location of the property is at First Ave and First Street in downtown. So here is kind of about where the project is. It's just north of Buckham Library. It's kind of more closer to the top of the hill there as you get into the more residential areas adjacent to downtown. Here's kind of an aerial overview. It's these 2 properties right here. One building will be on one, and then another building will be on the other property. As I mentioned before, it's a conditional use permit. So in our central business district, you can't do multifamily by right. It has to be as a conditional use permit. And so because this is just a purely multifamily building, we have to go through a conditional use permit in order to allow it. So here's the property outlined in red against the zoning map. And if we were to zoom in on it and kind of get an idea as to what this project might look like, here's a site plan for it. So we can see kind of somewhat middle, just offset to the right, there's kind of this black dashed line. That's the dividing property line between these 2 properties. And then on one property in the top left-hand corner, in the northwest corner, is going to be one building. It's 4 units, so it's a 4-plex. One of those units is going to be accessible to the parking lot that's in between these 2 buildings and on the property line. That unit is kind of lower within the building. It's intended to be very ADA accessible. The other building on the right-hand side is another 4-plex. In this case, I believe, I'm trying to remember exactly how many units on this building are ADA accessible, and I'll leave that to the applicant later on. But there is 1 unit that'll be in the bottom of the topmost part of the building, right in the bottom, and you can see there's some stairs in the northeast corner. This is the west building and what it would look like in terms of elevations. At the top, there's kind of this perspective view of what it would look like from the intersection. And then there just one colored elevation, but kind of generally showing what the rest of the building will look like. And here's the other building. So this other building is a little bit lower sitting versus the west hand building. But you can see that there is this second story that's underneath units. And so if the top units are, they do go out, they are pretty level with the parking lot. But I believe it's the 3 units on the southern part of that building that will have a second floor kind of underneath to them. A really interesting take. For the conditional use permit, we do feel that the conditional use permit criteria are met by the proposal. Any additional residential that's downtown will be important to downtown's vibrance, as well as contributing to downtown's character activity. So we don't anticipate any adverse impacts to surrounding properties. So we think that it meets CUP criteria and zoning requirements. So we are recommending that you forward this resolution to council, recommending approval of the conditional use.
Thank you. Before we move on, I'll just cover kind of the rules of the road again. It's been a while since we've done a public hearing. Both items on the agenda tonight, the exact same format. We'll have a presentation from staff. This is now our opportunity to ask any clarifying questions that we have about it. When the questions are done, then we'll go out to the public, name, address, organization you represent, et cetera. When public hearing's done, everybody can cycle through one time. When public hearing's done, then we bring it back up here, and then we'll discuss what's in front of us. We'll talk about it for a while. Somebody will make a motion to do something, and we'll vote on that motion. We're a recommending board and advisory board to the city council, so then that moves forward to the city council. Doing public hearings like this. So with that, we are going to open up for questions for Harry. Art.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chair, yeah, that would be correct. There are only 2 handicap.
Other questions? Tina.
Mr. Chair, yeah. Mr. Chair, so the elevation that's on the left-hand side, it's kind of in the middle of the images. So, yes, the north elevation. So you can kind of see where this red line is, and it kind of shows some stairs going down. There's a dotted line to show that there's at least a part that's hidden. You can kind of see the top of the door. It's kind of in the middle of that facade, just above where those red dashes are. So that would be the door to that lower unit.
Anything else, Tina? Good there. Are we done with questions? Anything else? Sam?
As far as industry standards
Mr. Chair, so a duplex is exempt from a lot of our higher requirements when it comes to site plan review. So a duplex would just purely go to building permit. It wouldn't go through any additional review. There wouldn't be a site plan review. I'm trying to remember offhand if a duplex is permitted by right in Central Business District, and I don't think it is. I think the only thing that is permitted in terms of straight residential by conditional use permit. So we're kind of working with a unique situation in terms of zoning in this particular spot. You know, in terms of a difference between commercial and residential, we don't consider this in terms of use a commercial development. We just think that this is a multifamily.
Other questions? If not, we'll go out. I know the applicants are here. You guys go first. If you got anything for us, you don't have to. We'll hold tight for now. We'll see where this goes. I can reserve the right to reopen the public hearing. For now, hang tight. Anything else public input on this one? Just have to ask. Okay, now we're done with public input. Back up here to the Planning Commission for discussion and a motion to do something. Art.
I love the idea.
Sam.
as far as I'm concerned,
Sam's got the motion on the resolution. Mike's got the second. So we've got the motion as written, the presentation as presented. Is there discussion on the motion at all? Anybody got anything else? We'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. That carries. And it's next Tuesday night, so 8 days from now?
Yes, it'll be council.
City Council next Tuesday night. Next one on the agenda, second public hearing this evening. It's a CUP for ground-mounted solar array, St. Paul Avenue. And again, are we going to Harry or we're going to Leslie?
Conditional use permit for the ground-mounted solar array. The application was brought forward from the resident, Thomas Farley, at his residence at 927 St. Paul Avenue. In the northwest eastern side of the Avenue, here, as you can see, it's a little bit more of an open space area, surrounded by kind of an interesting mix of residential properties, in sort of an agricultural character, and even some flavors. There is a solar farm located within 1,000 feet, just off the map here. The site plan that was provided by the applicant shows the location where the primary dwelling is, a detached garage, driveway, quite a bit of landscaping in the front. There is a hedgerow on the northern side that's quite robust. The reason that the application is being put through the conditional use permit process is because it's over 120 square feet. It's in the 500 square feet neighborhood. The criteria is met by the proposal. We feel that the application also qualifies in our ordinance for a landscape reduction. Now, typically, if this were in something that were surrounded by a dense population of residential, our zoning standards would require the landscaping provide screening that's quite opaque, 6 feet in height, and that would meet a density requirement within the couple of years. However, based on the context of the proposal and that the area that is quite open and where the array is to be located, it's somewhat out of keeping to be that sort of contained. So we really focused on, in the DRC review as well, as looking at the drivability and the screening from St. Paul Avenue and noticing that the view sheds, as one travels, would be, the array would be fairly screened and obstructed. So with that in mind, it does meet the so we're recommending that the Planning Commission forward to Council the resolution and approval for the CUP based on findings and conditions in the draft resolution. I am here for questions.
Do we have questions for Leslie? I have one, and it's just kind of more of just jog my memory. I remember when we approved the plat on this within the last few years. All of that open space that's to the east, what is that platted for? Are there potential new homes coming in there? Is there a road somewhere in there, or is that just kind of left landlocked and is going to be unbuildable?
It's a very large. Then I will tell. I'll have Harry if he can remember.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the beacon. So you've got highlighted what looks to be this lot, but then God, it looks like a couple dozen acres that are just huge open green space. Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm looking at. So the subject lot is inside the green box. I'm talking about everything to the east. You see where I'm going with it? Is that eventually buildable someday?
So let me briefly outline for you, and I apologize for not having the parcels on this map. So one property in and of itself is residential, where this lot is connected. This is one entire property, and then this is a single sort of residential agricultural. So the mix of zoning, and I think I provided in your packet. Oh, there's a comprehensive plan. We'll hand this over to Harry.
I'm just going by what we've got in the packet. The parcel ID 18294788001. Okay, go ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, so in the time that I've been here, there's been no discussion about any subdivisions or expansion of any residential, at least in this part of the city. So my understanding is that there's nothing really in the hopper currently.
And that's fine. Ask and answer. I couldn't remember what we had done in that area, if the whole area was platted out or not. But yeah, if nothing's platted, nobody's talking about anything, then you've essentially answered my question. You got to where I was going with it. I just wanted to make sure that in 6 months from now, there weren't a bunch of houses going up there and they're all angry about solar.
Sure, and maybe, so the other thing I'm trying to pull up is the comprehensive plan. So we have a difference in terms of residential between planned and established. So when we're looking at this particular, so if we're looking at the property, it's kind of over here on the right-hand side of the screen. You can kind of see that little bowed property, the subject property. So this is all planned residential. So that means at some point between now and 2040, sure, having a bunch of residences, replatting all these areas probably makes sense. What it doesn't mean is that that's going to happen right
I'm fine with all this. I didn't mean to beat this. This is more than enough for me. Steve.
So the maximum height requirement for the top of the mechanicals is 10 feet. They did initially submit to us plans that were in excess of that, and when that was pointed out to them, they accommodated by redesigning the structure so that the tilt of the structure, when it is best absorbing whatever aspect, it would be no greater than 10 feet from the ground elevation. Good, thank you.
Art.
And to go off of Commissioner White, Pete Waldock and I were working on this as well because the 120 feet we found was inefficient. That we really needed to enlarge that, especially for a residential home, especially considering insurance companies really don't want solar on roofs. So having them on a pedestal like this particular person, which is what I wanted to do, having it to be expanded out to maybe 200 square feet, and then again having it on a pedestal that could move in this case would allow for a lot more ability for us to be able to capture more of that sunlight, which is something that we wanted to be able to bring forward eventually to the city to adopt those. So it might be a good thing for us to actually bring forward to the city council.
If we're okay with questions, I just want to open up public hearing. Just make sure I'm covering my bases. Nothing for you on public hearing. You understand well I'm doing it. Okay, now that's opened. That's closed. We're back up here. We can continue with discussion. I mean, questions if we want, or we can just jump right into discussion.
I just think it's a good idea.
Mr. Saul, could you please speak into your mic?
Thank you. I just want to jump in and support what Steve was saying, Bart was saying. As far as the height thing, yeah, that they're doing some really creative stuff. If they're a little bit higher, you can get some pollinator-friendly plants down there. It just seems to work better if they can be a little bit higher. So that's worth discussing. Maybe that 120 feet is too small. So again, that's reflected in the minutes now. That's been part of our discussion. So that can move forward with the recommendation too. I just wanted to make sure that we had it documented. Anything else from the group? Art's got the motion. Tina's got the second as presented. Any discussion on that? We will vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Done with that. Request to be heard.
Mr. Chair, we currently do not have any requests to be heard,
Items for discussion.
and we don't have items for discussion.
Hear them if they were. Routine business.
Mr. Chair, currently we don't have any routine business going on.
Because we'd hear them and we'd discuss them at that. Did we talk about this last time, board and commission update? Since none of us are on boards and commissions anymore, can we just take that off the agenda? Yes, please. Oh, yeah, because it's, yeah, you're right. So maybe it's reworded. It's board, commission, city council updates. Leave it at that. Okay. Are there a city council update? Would we hear that, discuss it, or consider it routine?
I suppose that could be under boards and commissions update.
Just give us an update on the city.
Yeah. So currently we don't have any items at city council right now, except for one that just passed. So that was the childcare center. Very little discussion on that. And it's now approved use at that. Any questions on that?
How did the council?
No, there was no discussion on it.
Okay. There's no work session tonight either?
Correct.
Then a motion to adjourn.